a kid, and I stopped when I went to college. Can you hear me?
Closer.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah? Yes?
Closer.
Are you filming?
Yes.
Okay, because I was like, yeah, you need to take a video. Okay, I started actually painting and drawing when I was a kid, and I stopped when I went to college. I'm not going to eat it. And but the one thing that I didn't stop doing, I was also sewing. I started at a very young age, and this is the one thing that I didn't stop doing. I've done it all my life, and I started painting again in 2019. And what took me back to the painting is that at some point one day I decided that I wanted to try and reproduce some of my fabric prints on canvas. And so I just went and grabbed some canvases, some paints, and started doodling with that. And I was like, oh my God, but I want to go back painting. And that's how I started again. And I took a class at the Johns Creek Art Center. It was abstract painting. I took it with Summerlow. But I was so scared, and I had been willing to go back painting several years before, but I was scared because I didn't think I had it in me. I was afraid that I was going to be judged. For me, like, it was very, that I was going to make some mistakes and things like that. So when I saw that it was an abstract class and it was for beginners, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do that, because then if I make a mistake, nobody is going to see it, right? And it was written that it was for beginners, but I still had to call the art center to make sure that it was for beginners, because I was so scared, that I was going to be judged. And that's how I started painting again. And I got the support from my friends, and very soon I started sending some of my paintings. And at first I was doing it just for me, but then people were asking me if I was going to sell those paintings, and then Summer pushed me to have some of my paintings in the student show. The first year that I started painting, 6 months after, and I was like, well, are you sure it's good enough? And she's like, yeah, I want you to have your work in the show. And she has been really supporting me. And since then I've been painting, exploring, and that's how I started painting again. That's my story.
Who has been your greatest influence on your artwork?
So I thought about that question this morning when you sent me the questions, and I do think that my greatest influence is actually my aunt. She was an Impressionist artist, and I have always admired her work. And those are actually the first Impressionist pieces that I've seen, because I've seen them when I was a kid, So, and for me, her work, some of her most memorable pieces are her nymphaeas. She did a mural of nymphaeas and orchids as well. And those paintings had been reproduced on the Tapisserie d'Aubusson. So I think that even if I didn't really see it, this morning I was thinking, well, she is actually the one who, I was really inspired by her when I was a kid. Sometimes I would go and help her to prepare her exhibitions, and I would model for her. We were, with my cousin, we were models for her. So it did touch, I think, it's a big part of my inspiration.
So when you talk about influence, so when you talk about inspiration and life in itself, and when you look at the lilies that you paint, and that you're bringing the outside in several times throughout your paintings, and what you're painting is life, it's spring, it's always coming, and the seasonal things that you do. What has been the favorite piece that you've ever created?
That's hard.
That's always hard.
I don't have one, and each time I paint something new, that piece is going to be part of the favorite. So I have a list of favorites, the wine garden is one of my favorites, the sunflowers as well, of course. This one is one of my favorites as well. Just because in some pieces, this one started, I didn't know, I had no clue what I was going to do. And I just started applying paint on the canvas, and it was a total mess. and it was very abstract. And until I got to a phase where I had a beautiful background, and when I looked at it, it reminded me of waters. And that's how I came up with those water lilies. But I don't know, there is something in that piece that I really love, the tranquility, the serenity, and the way it came out as well. I'm attached a lot to the way my paintings come out. The white flowers, the white garden that is over there, I'm also very attached to the way it came out. The brushes were just dancing on the canvas, and I wasn't thinking. I had the music on. That's how I paint. I put the music on, and I just focus on my work instead of being in my head.
And that was my follow-up question about what was the creative process. So we heard the music. So the fact that you've named this collection Unleashed, it says a lot. I know why you said it, but I would love for you to explain to your friends and family who are here why it is that you chose Unleashed and what it truly means to you for this body of work.
So Unleashed means a lot of things. It can mean, so it means to be free, having no restraints. But for me, it also means it's a part of me. It's my state of being as an artist, being free as an artist. And my equivalent for Unleashed is unstoppable. And this came, it started like 3 years ago. I've been unstoppable since the past 3 years. And what created that state is I took a personal transformation and development seminar, and that's when I realized that at first I never dared to call myself an artist. I was not an artist because I didn't go to art school. And for me, because I didn't have that title, I didn't have the degree, and I didn't have all the techniques that you can learn at school, I was not, in my head, I was not allowed to call myself an artist. And I was like a fraud. But each time Claude was introducing me to someone, he was saying, she's an artist. And I was like, no, I'm not an artist. And I was trying to hide away. and I was saying, well, maybe, I paint and I do a few things. And so during that transformation course, it was a journey for me to realize that I was an artist. And at some point I was like, well, yeah, maybe I'm an artist. And after I was like, okay, yes, I am an artist. And several months later, it took 9 months, it took a birth, a childbirth. and I said, yes, I am a professional artist. That's when I declared that. And when I realized that, I got unleashed. I was free. Free to express my art, free, me talking to you, I'm being unleashed because I'm telling you, I was freaking out.
I had to get her out of her shell, and this is what we'll talk about this.
And I didn't have my glass of wine to chill out, so. But anyway, so it's been so. For me, it really represents, that collection represents my journey of being unleashed for the past 3 years, and I'm not going to stop. And it means having my work out there, having exhibitions, solo exhibitions, talking to you, but it's also shown in my work. Like I was saying, I put the music on and I'm free when I paint. This is part of my process. I don't think about what I have to do, because if I'm in my head, the painting is not going to come out the way that I want, or it should, and I'm going to struggle, and I'm going to ask myself too many questions. Is this right? Is this wrong? Blah, blah, blah. And whereas if I'm free in the process, and if I incorporate the play is super important in my process. And when you play like a kid, kids, they just play. They don't realize if it's right or wrong, right? So when you introduce that play in your artwork, or even if your life, it's a game changer.
It makes absolute sense. One of the things that I try to do with my artists is to push them outside the comfort zone. So many times as artists, because I'm a practicing artist myself, we find it hard to talk about our work. Find it hard to talk about the process. We find it hard to just speak in general because sometimes we're introverts. But we sometimes have to find that voice. We all go through the imposter syndrome because sometimes for those of us who are self-taught, it's very hard to come out and say, I'm an artist, I'm an international artist, and having that. But I celebrate you today. I thank you for taking the risk and coming here and being a part of our show at the exhibit. So her show will be here until April 15th. So her main exhibition is here in the main hallway. These pieces are on display tonight. They're all for sale. So I encourage you to please ask any questions of her or myself. We'll be happy to help you in whatever way that we can. I want to truly say thank you for showing up for her today, because it means a lot as an artist to have your friends and family show up to support you. So I truly implore you all to come out and support your artist friends, show up in spaces and show up and be proud of who you are. And congratulations.
Thank you so much everyone for coming. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much, Tamara, for curating my show. I really appreciate it, and I love to work with you. We did hang the paintings with her together, and I really have all my trust in the way that she works. One thing that I would love you to do, I have a guest book on the table over there. I would love you not just to write your name, but your impressions about this exhibition, so that I have a souvenir. Thank you very much.